Welcome to Reshair on ESPN 730. For the next hour, your host, Chris Reshair, will bring fresh air to your financial needs. Excite, educate, and empower you to make sound financial decisions. Chris is a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant with NFM Lending. Originator license number 117266. Now, here's your host, Chris Reshair.
Welcome to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshair, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending, license number 117266. Keep in mind, NFM Lending is an equal housing lender. So if you have not listened to Reshair Radio before today, let me tell you what our theme or goal is all about. And it's about exciting, educating, and empowering Charlotteans to make sound financial decisions. And you ask, how do you do that? Well, I don't really do it. I just hopefully motivate you to make good decisions through the expert contributors that we have on our show, through our local guests, and occasionally I throw a little bit of wisdom in myself where possible, but not always. But that's the whole beauty of the show, is that we bring in all kinds of great area experts to talk about real estate, finance, credit repair, insurance, all kinds of products and programs that really affect your overall financial wheel. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and roll out our guest lineup today. So first, we are going to have an expert contributor back in the studio today, Cole Duran with National Credit Care. He's going to be spending some time with us at the end of our show, our fourth segment. So make sure you stay tuned. So if you are interested in credit, maybe your credit's not perfect, needs a little bit of help, Cole Duran with National Credit Care is somebody who goes in, evaluates your situation, and helps you figure out what can be done to improve your credit situation. There's so many Americans today that struggle with the ability to get car loans and mortgage loans because their credit isn't where it needs to be. Sometimes there's erroneous stuff, sometimes a divorce situation, you name it. That's what Cole is all about, trying to help you figure out what he can do and his team to improve your credit situation on a more rapid basis. So Cole Duran will be joining us shortly here at the end of the segment, our fourth segment. And in the studio live this morning, we've got special guest Laura Shaffer with Keller Williams, Lake Norman. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me.
We're excited to have you here. So Laura and I, we've done a little bit of business together, right?
A little bit, yes.
Real estate is a fun position, so a fun thing to do. So what I'd like to do is tell our listeners here this morning a little bit about you. So as a special guest on our show, I understand that you've been in real estate just under 3 years. Correct?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
You're licensed in North Carolina, and you focus primarily on the Rowan County area.
I live in Rowan County, and it's where I do my business.
Yes, and we've done some business in that county. I do a lot of business in Rowan County, even though I live in Mecklenburg. It just happens to be a place where a lot of my referral partners are. It's kind of cool.
It's a great place to live, affordable housing.
Yeah, actually, I know it's so nice because I have first-time buyers that can still actually find a house for $125,000 or $150,000. Not that it's easy.
It's not easy, but it's doable.
But
here.
it is doable,
yes.
and in Mecklenburg County, that's almost impossible. So let's kind of tell everybody a little bit about how you got started in the business. So how did you get into real estate?
I've worked for construction companies in the past.
Okay.
I was a project manager. I was working crazy hours all the time. So I decided, if I'm going to work this hard, I'm going to work this hard for myself.
And work crazy hours doing real estate.
And work crazy hours doing real estate. It hasn't changed, but I'm also able to have a little more flexibility. I have 2 boys. I want to be able to see them grow up and not be on a job site all the time.
I find that there are a lot of realtors that really, it's tricky to do the balance, right, between family and career or profession. But I do feel like the real estate industry or profession does allow for someone like yourself to still participate and be involved in the parenting, but not feel like you have to be compelled to show up at the office from 8 to 6 and do the daycare after that, and like the sort of 9 to 5 grind, right?
It's I'm very concise with my schedule. So when someone calls and I say I have this time to this time, those are the times I have.
It sounds like
to
you
keep
even,
that balance.
Yeah, and you block the time with your family like
Time
it's
blocking,
an appointment.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's an
if I don't
appointment.
do that, then I'll find myself out looking at houses
All the time.
All the time.
Right, all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah, no, and I've worked with a lot of realtors that, they just tell a client, I can't show houses from then to then. I have an appointment, and the appointment is actually their family.
And it may be picking up my son or
Sure.
going to lunch with at school, that sort of thing. But I still make time for what needs to be done.
Well, that's great. I admire your position there, and it makes a lot of sense as to why you made that decision. So before I go into the next question, tell me more a little bit about how you feel working with a construction company has prepared you to be a better realtor.
I can walk into a house and see the potential because I've done it to houses in the past. HGTV comes in, they're like, we're going to knock out this wall and we're going to open this space. And, that doesn't work for every house.
Right.
So you have to be kind of aware of some of the constraints that a house might have when someone says, I want open floor plan. Well, if you have a load-bearing wall, and you don't want to spend a ton of money.
Right. $25,000 to put an I-beam in or something.
To do that, then we need to make sure that you can stay within your budget, your time constraints to get you in the house that you want.
Well, it's cool that you have that perspective, right? Like we call that the HGTV effect, right?
Right.
A lot of buyers kind of are looking for that. I want a really cheap home, but I want it to be all redone.
That's exact. And if I wish I could find that every day for people, but we can get there.
Sweet. Awesome. So what do you like most about being a realtor?
When you walk into a house with a family and you see that look and the look that says, this is it. This is my home. This is where I want to raise my family. This is where I want to do my life. I feel that with them every time I show them my house. That when we get that, that's perfect. That's the best feeling right there.
Cool. Yeah. I think sometimes it's hard, because the inventory, number one, is there's not that much available, right? And then even if they get to that point, there's no guarantee that you're going to get them that house, right? Because you have to bid for it.
We are running into, especially in the 125 to 175, multiple offers. So you can get excited, but not too excited.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So, and if you're listening, again, this is I'm the show host of Reshair Radio. My name is Chris Reshatar, and we've got Laura Shaffer in here with Keller Williams, Lake Norman. And we're talking a little bit about kind of the market here in general, that it is a tricky buyer's market seller's market, and that sometimes just because you fall in love with a house doesn't mean you're going to get it, right? So
I always tell people if this one doesn't work out, that's because it wasn't your house. We will find your house. So.
Well, we hope that's the case, right?
Exactly.
You can't promise that.
It almost always, we always find that house.
All right. So my next question for you is, how would you describe the housing market from your opinion in your market?
Inventory is a problem. It's very tight right now. I looked this morning in Rowan County. There is about 300 houses available. And that's the houses that are $1 million and the houses down to $20,000.
Wow.
So there's just not a lot of inventory out there. And you have to be fast. So when you see a house that you think you might like, we have to jump on it. There's no wasting time. There's no...
Let's go see it this Sunday.
Let's go see it this Sunday. If a house shows up on Thursday that you think you like, we need to see it Thursday afternoon because Sunday it may not be available.
Or probably won't.
And most likely
especially if you think if you're the agent and you're going, hey, this is a good one, then you're
exactly. I showed
there.
a house yesterday. I was like, we have to put an offer in on this if this is the house that you want because it's not going to last.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. So really to sum that up, folks, it sounds like the real estate market is still hot as ever could be. That means if you're thinking about buying a house in 2019 or even in 2020, now is the time to prepare. Now is the time to call, get the process started with me as a loan officer, with Laura as your realtor, and to sort of set the stage for what to expect. And we're going to be talking a lot about really our theme later here when we get back from our next break. We're going to be talking about how to find a home that you love, some key strategies. And Laura and I spent quite a bit of time preparing the show as to things that you need to know and do if you really want to lock in on a house that you love.
Yes.
And it's not as easy as you think. There's a lot of strategy behind it. And if you're not working with also experts in the professions that we work in, it can make or break your ability to get that house that you really love. So anyway, I will just tell you briefly while we have another minute before we take the break that I am actually a licensed loan officer with NFM Lending, and I've been in the mortgage business myself for about 20 years. And my specialty really is working with first-time buyers, helping them navigate the buying process. Of course, I work with any buyer of any type that needs a mortgage loan, but I like to really work with that first-time buyer. I like to nurture and help and make sure that they know about the special programs that are out there. I don't know if you're in the Mecklenburg County area right now. The city of Charlotte, through the House Charlotte program, is offering up to $17,000 for a buyer to buy a home in Mecklenburg County if it's considered the high-cost area. And there's a lot of Mecklenburg County that falls in the high-cost area. So if you are a first-time buyer, there are amazing programs out there. So if you know anyone that could use $17,000 to buy a house in Mecklenburg County, I am the person that they need to give a call to. I'll give you my number real quick here. It's 704-277-4463. That's 704-277-4463. I can also be found on the web at themortgagegenius.com. It's kind of catchy, simple, right? 3 words, themortgagegenius.com. I've had that domain for over a decade now, so it's easy to find. So if you're listening today and you hear things that are of interest to you, reach out, pop out on my website, pop out or shoot me a text or give me a call, and I'm happy to answer any questions, as would Laura as well, in terms of what you want to know about real estate, first-time buyer, even move-up buyer or downsizing buyer. We'll handle all of those types of people. So we're going to say, hang tight. We've got our theme coming up, how to find a home that you love, key strategies. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned. Hi, this is Chris Reshatar, host of Reshair Radio and loan officer with NFM Lending. Is home buying in your future? Buying a home is one of the most significant financial decisions you will make in your life. Each step in the process is important to ensure a smooth transaction. But the most important step, even before you look at houses or call a realtor, is to get pre-approved. A pre-approval is when a lender evaluates a loan applicant's eligibility for a home loan. The loan officer collects information such as their employment, income, assets, and current expenses. The lender then gives the applicant an idea as to whether or not they could afford a home loan or an approximate amount of loan they could qualify for. If you're looking for platinum level service and open communication through the loan process, call me, Chris Reshatar, at 704-277-4463. That is 704-277-4463. LO license number 117266, corporate license number 2893. Go to nfmlending.com for licensing information, or you can apply online today at themortgagegenius.com. Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending. We've got in the studio here our special guest, Laura Shaffer, with Keller Williams Lake Norman. Laura, we've spent some time here going over a really fun theme that I like about our show here this morning, and that's how to find a home that you love. Key strategies, and really not just finding it, right, but getting the home.
Getting the home.
I really should change the theme.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to change it right now.
No, don't find a home. Let's get a home.
How to buy. How about that? We changed the theme mid-show. But it's all good. It's all good. So anyway, I think what I'd like to do is start out. We've identified really 8 basic key strategies on how to buy a home that you love. The first one really is what I call the free buyer consultation appointment. So tell our listeners, that they've never worked with a realtor before, never bought a home before. What does that buyer consultation incorporate?
So we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about some things like your budget, how much you think you want to spend, what your wants are. If you want that open floor plan, if you want 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, if you need 6 bedrooms, you get a really big family, you need a lot of room. And then we're going to talk about your wish list. So there's things that you need. So, you're going to need number
versus
of,
wants,
number
right?
of
Yeah.
bedrooms and that sort of thing. And then there's the wants. You want a little space. You want a pool. You want, that extra bonus room, that type of thing. And then we're going to try to figure out what area you want to be in. If there's a school district that you're trying to get to, if you want to be in the country, you want to be in the city.
Close to where you work.
Close to where you work.
Family.
We're going to make sure that you get in that area where you want to be.
I know that you do a lot of work in Rowan County, and it seems like, at least over all the years that I've been working there, a lot of people actually want to be close to their family. A lot of times they live on the same road, they live close by. It's very different from like a Mecklenburg bigger city.
It is. They'll want to be 2 streets over from their parents.
Right.
I live 5 hours from my parents, but they want to be close. And I think especially as people's parents are aging, they want to be able to be right there so that they can help them out as they need. And sometimes parents are helping them. They're their
right, with
babysitters.
yeah, exactly. Helping with childcare.
Helping take care of the kiddos. So it's always nice to find that house in the area that you want to be in.
Well, all those factors in terms of that free consultation that you do with your buyers are important so that you can understand what is it that they do love, right? If our show theme is really how to buy a home that you love, we're not going to know what those things are unless you do that consultation. And I think a lot of buyers also don't always understand that the cost to use a realtor generally is zero.
On the buyer side, absolutely, it does not cost a buyer a thing. It's also a chance to meet with me and decide that you want to work with me. Sometimes you meet someone and you think, maybe they're not the right.
It's not a good fit.
Maybe not the right fit for me. And we take that time to kind of meet and talk and go over that sort of thing.
So the consultation doesn't cost anything.
Right.
Doesn't cost anything to hire a realtor.
Doesn't cost a dime.
Right. And so
So why wouldn't you?
Exactly. If you're thinking about buying, then it would be a good opportunity to sit down with Laura. So do you mind just sharing real quickly where somebody could reach you if they're listening to the show right now that might need a realtor in that county?
I am always available with my cell phone. My number is 704-754-7997.
One more time.
And that's 704-754-7997. You can call or text me anytime. I almost always answer my phone unless I'm with a client.
That's perfect. Awesome. All right. So step 1 is engage in that free buyer consultation if you want to buy a home that you love. All right. Let's go to step number 2, which you say is a step where you actually set up a customized search for homes.
Right. So I'm going to take all the stuff that you told me that you want, your needs, your wants, and I'm going to smush them all together and put them in a search so that when you wake up every morning, hopefully there's houses that you like in your email. And you like them. We go out. You mark them. I search them, make sure that that everything is right there where you need it, and then.
So the client could identify like, hey, of the 3 that came over, let's nix 1, but we like 2 and 3.
Right, exactly.
So we're sort of narrowing down.
Kind of just narrowing down, and it gives me an idea of what you really like. Some houses, decor-wise, that fit your budget may not. You don't want a log cabin, but it fits within your budget and it fits all your other things, but you don't want a log cabin.
Right. Yeah.
So we're going to nix
they
that
exist.
one. And they do exist.
They are out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. You also mentioned when we were sort of planning our show that you do a thing called a sub search. What is that?
So I'll set up the search, send it out to you, but then I kind of look at some other houses. I set up a search that comes straight to me, and I call them the outliers. So there may be a house that doesn't fit every box that you're looking for, but I think that it could still work for you, and I throw those in there.
So maybe it's a little beyond what they thought, but sometimes that outlier can be intriguing to the buyer.
And
they didn't think.
I try to stick within the budget, but maybe it's not quite in the neighborhood that you wanted, or maybe it's, say you wanted 1,500 square feet and it's a little bit bigger, or maybe a little bit smaller, but when we get there, it feels different.
Got it. Cool. I like that. All right, so let's go to number 3 in terms of how to buy a home that you love, key strategies. Which I'll let you read number 3 because maybe I'll answer it. How about that?
So once you decide that you want to buy a house and we find some houses that you like, it's very important that you are pre-qualified. Before you walk out the door and look at any houses, you need to talk to Chris, someone like Chris, to make sure that you can afford that. We were talking earlier about the credit repair guy. What if you're thinking that you have this fantastic credit score, but something's wrong? We need to know that, because if you find the house that you love and you can't qualify for it, it's very sad.
Yeah, no, and this is interesting because I had a client one time where he knew he had good credit. He was a move-up buyer, was a professional, an executive, and he did not want me to look at his credit. He said, I already know I'm going to qualify. And I said to him, you know what, I appreciate that, but number one, you should always be qualified before you shop for a home. And I said, what you don't know is that, it could be that a medical collection of $25 shows up on your credit report that you weren't even aware existed. And it could drop your score 100 points. So he refused to get qualified. And do you know what happened? I bet our listeners can guess what happened, right?
I bet I know what happened.
Exactly. So finally, he went to put an offer in on a home. He said, I want to close in 3 weeks. And he said, okay, run my credit. And there was literally, it was like a $5 or $10 medical collection. And his score was in the mid to low 600 credit score, which he was expecting to be a high 700 score, right? Because this guy knew his credit was great.
I knew it. I know my credit score.
I'm not going to let you look, is what he was basically saying. And it was like almost ironic, right? Because it was like, I kind of told you this, like in the exact words that this might happen to you. Of course, I had no idea that it would, right? And then he was mad, and of course, his rate was higher, and he needed to move very quickly, right, through the loan process in order to get the house that he wanted. And now the good news is he was able to go back to the creditor and have it removed, and we were able to rescore the credit just a couple of days before closing. But I had to quote him a higher rate in the beginning, and he had to sign off on the higher rate all the way till the end. And then once the score came back up, I was able to adjust the rate back down for him, and he closed. But people just don't always know. Even people who think they have good credit, there are errors, surprises, and things that could happen to your credit that we just don't know. So you've got to get qualified on the front end, make sure you're ready to buy. And
with as fast as the market moves right now, if you're not pre-qualified and I put an offer in without a pre-qualification letter, and someone else has a letter with them, they're going to look more at that offer than the offer
they
that
probably
came
won't even consider.
It would be put down to the bottom of their list. Absolutely.
Correct. And in many cases, for our listeners, we want you to actually be pre-approved if possible, not just qualified, a quick 10-minute over the phone or an internet application, but an actual looking at your documentation, reviewing pay stubs, reviewing tax returns, reviewing bank statements. And that's something that our team will do. Just like Laura offers the free buyer consultation, we offer the free upfront pre-approval. Sometimes the credit is marginal and we send it all the way into underwriting. Other times we'll issue a pre-approval just by my team. We've got 20 years of experience on my team, and we can tell, hey, you're good to go. But that step is really important because I oftentimes am communicating with the listing agent. Either they will call me or I will call them because they say, well, we've got 6 offers on the table. I want to ask you some questions. Or I'll call even before the offers are reviewed and say, hey, our buyers have been through underwriting. Our buyers have done all their paperwork. And I am actually a part of your negotiating strategy when there are multiple buyers, so that that listing agent and that seller can know that you, working with our team here, Laura and I, are positioned to buy and you're ready to go. And we're both trying to help you get that property. So getting qualified, super key step in order to buy the house that you love.
And really, we're looking at 1 or 2 days before we go look at houses to get this done. It's not like we're looking at 6 weeks before we can go look at houses. It's just a couple of days to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row before you find that perfect house.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're just about out of a time for a break here, but we'll quickly squeeze in number 4, which number 4 is to start shopping. So it's
This
pretty
is the fun
straightforward,
part.
right?
Yeah,
The
we
fun part.
start shopping.
So your philosophy is to identify no more than 4 to 5 houses.
I try not to show more than 4 or 5 houses a day because it gets confusing. And I throw in an outlier usually on that first day to see if it sticks. And then we make adjustments.
Yeah, I've learned over the years, at least from a lot of the real estate agents that I work with, that a lot of times that buyer thinks they know what their needs and wants are, and then they see 4 or 5 houses, and their needs and wants start to change.
It adjusts. They start to see, well, maybe I can be a little bit farther away from mom and dad, or maybe we don't need that pool right now.
Right, and then
So
you can
those
modify
things change.
your search or refine the search so that other homes that might be now under their current needs list will come to the surface.
Exactly.
Perfect. So that is step number 4 or buying a home that you love. So we're going to come back to the last 4 steps for our third segment here with Laura Shaffer in the studio. Again, I am Chris Reshatar, your show host of Reshair Radio. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know it has been reported that an estimated 80% of Americans have credit inaccuracies on their credit reports? Most people that have either inaccuracies or existing items that can be negotiated or adjusted do not know what their best score could be until they have found a new home or buying a new car or applying for a credit card. Then it's too late and they have to accept a higher interest rate or lose the opportunity altogether. The time to work on improving your credit score is before you need it. Whether you have a 440, 640, or even a 740 FICO score, there is always room for improvement. The National Credit Care Team is comprised of individuals dedicated to helping the millions of consumers plagued by credit inaccuracies, errors, and fraud. It is our mission to help inform consumers and alleviate the stress of working with creditors and credit bureaus. Together, we can maximize your scores to get the best interest rates possible and save you money. Call now, 303-747-6390. That's 303-747-6390. Or visit us at www.nationalcreditcare.com.
Chris Reshatar, your host of Reshair Radio, is back in the studio. If we're just on a short commercial break, we've got Laura Shaffer here with Keller Williams Lake Norman as our special guest, and we have been talking about how to buy a home that you love, key strategies into getting that house. Laura, we've just gone through your free buyer consultation as step 1, customizing that home search step 2, getting qualified with Team Reshatar at NFM Link, that's 3, and number 4, start shopping for that home. The 5th step really is one that maybe is a little bit not typical that I bring this up, but I think it's just a unique step, and that is just really vision alignment is what I've called it, and that there's rarely a home that has all key qualities that the buyer that you're working with can actually find in a house. So really, the buyer may need your help in understanding how do we get a house in the price range that they're looking for, but still meet most of their needs. And with a little creativity, you can show them what that looks like. So, and it might be, and maybe I'll let you share the examples here. Your buyer wants wood floors. The house meets all of their criteria, but it doesn't have wood floors.
But it's got carpet everywhere.
Right. So how would you help them realign their vision of that situation?
So we can take a look at the house. Meets all their needs. Meets everything, except for they want those wood floors. So we have a guy come in and give us an estimate on wood floors. We know what it's going to cost at this point to do that, and we can move forward with putting an offer in on this house, knowing that we're going to spend so many dollars,
$4,000 or $5,000.
On floors. Why would you lose the perfect house over $4,000 or $5,000 if it kicks every box that you have?
Exactly. And there are also examples, I think, sometimes a renovation loan is a product that might work. And we were talking earlier that we've got this sort of HGTV effect inside our society today, right?
Absolutely.
Flip or Flop and all these shows where we go in and, you know, we love it, but we change it all, right?
Love everything about this house. Let's gut it.
Right, exactly. That's a quote from Father of the Bride when Martin Short walks up to the house that they're going to do the wedding reception. He's like, "Oh, I love it, but we change it all," right? It's like my favorite line of the movie because it's the most beautiful house, right? What would you change about it? Nothing.
Exactly.
With that being said, a buyer today can maybe find the house that meets most of their needs, but with some creativity. And we've got a little emergency in the background. Forgive us for the loud noises there, but nonetheless, with your background working right for construction builders, renovations, you understand what the vision of that home could be, right?
Exactly.
In addition, you know, we've got a loan product that can also help the customer purchase the home for that $100,000 price point, allow them to roll in $30,000 or $40,000 in repairs, but they're really borrowing the money for the combined total, and then the down payment is put down on the combined total.
Isn't this an amazing program?
It's it's cool.
I think it's really awesome, and the idea. I always try to set the right expectations on renovations when we're talking about, you know, when you love a house and you want to gut the whole thing, it takes time. And it's a little stressful. There's a lot of things.
There's more stress, for sure.
There's a lot of things that have to happen in a renovation. But I've been through it a number of times, so I'm able to set that expectation for my clients.
Cool. So that's definitely a product and program combination that, going back to our theme for this bullet point here, is just vision alignment, right? So sometimes you have to work with us to help you achieve what you're really trying to get, and maybe think out of the box a little bit, whether it's, you know, modifying the house with some minimal dollars, or maybe just looking at a renovation loan for more dollars to get, because you want that house in that right location, but the house doesn't meet your needs. But it can potentially.
It can. I think you can find most houses, you can do renovations to meet what you need.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the next step here in terms of how to buy a home that you love, and that is getting the offer.
So we found the perfect home.
Right.
Now we have to put an offer in on it.
Right, exactly.
So
how does that work?
You know, deciding, you know, is it worth as much as they're asking for it? You know,
So you're going to analyze.
We're going to, you know,
sales.
Run all the comps, make sure that we are paying what the house is worth, and we want to make that offer just enough so that we get the house.
Yeah, I mean, because you could be in a situation where maybe the sales or comparable sales don't really support what your offer is, but in order to even get to the table to get the house, you might have to still offer above what it's worth.
You might have to offer a little bit above what it's worth. That happens from time to time. There's fail-safes in the system to keep you from overpaying. So we'll talk about those on the next step.
That's right. So we're at the stage where we've made an offer, and you will help negotiate that offer. You'll help fill out the paperwork and present it to the sellers.
Yep.
And then you negotiate.
And then we negotiate back and forth.
It's rare that an offer goes in and is accepted the first time. So.
Right. And if it does, then you think, oh my goodness,
maybe we pay too much.
Maybe we pay too much.
Right.
But usually there's some back and forth there.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, cool. So number 7, which we have plenty to talk about here, is once the contract's been negotiated, we move into what we call the inspection phase. And that inspection phase includes the home inspection, the lender approval, and the appraisal. So what is the home inspection? Because a lot of first-time buyers particularly get confused between what a home inspection is and what an appraisal is.
They do. So, you know, the appraisal is just going to look at the value of the house. They're going to make sure that the value is sufficient for the loan that you're trying to get, because the bank's not going to give you $250,000 if the house is only worth $200,000.
Right.
The home inspection is an independent contractor that we hire to go through the house, goes through every nook and cranny, tests every outlet.
Yes.
Make sure every faucet works, make sure, you know, that all the sinks hold water, and then they come up with a report, and from there there may be some non-negotiables for you. There may be something that comes up on the home inspection report that we need to really take a look at and do some negotiating back with the seller on.
Right. Could be that the house has beetles in the crawl space and you just can't stand bugs, right? I mean, you just never know.
You just never know what's going to come up on a home inspection. And there's sometimes you'll see a house and you'll think, oh, this is going to be a no-brainer. There's no problems here. And underneath it, there's issues. It's well worth to have a home inspection. People I'll ask all the time, do I need to spend that money? And the answer, from my point of view, is always yes.
I totally agree. Occasionally someone will say, well, my dad was a this or that, and he went under the crawl space. The house
and it
was
looked
fine.
good.
It
We're
looked
good.
Right.
So, shower pan leaks, it can cause all kinds of problems, and you don't know it until you're underneath in that icky crawl space.
They say there's fungus among us, right?
There is.
All right, so that's the home inspection. They're going to check everything out. The next one during that, quote, investigation or inspection phase, is the lender approval, and I'll jump in on that part. So you're having the home inspected to make sure it works and functions properly. At the same time, the lender, that's me, gets a copy of your contract, and we're going to submit your contract to the underwriting department or the decision maker on your loan. The processor oftentimes is going to verify that you actually work where you say you work. We're going to double check your pay stubs. We're going to double check to see if you've paid your rent on time. There's all kinds of things that we're going to investigate so that by the time we submit an entire loan package to the decision maker or the underwriter on your file, they have a complete file to make some decisions around. They're always going to come back with a short list, sometimes long, depending on how complicated your life is. But most of the time when our team submits a loan, we get a short list of stuff back like, oops, we found a missing page on a bank statement and we need your updated pay stub because it's been 4 weeks since we got a fresh one and you should have a new one now. And we got to show your earnest money is cleared out of your account, whatever. But it's all stuff that within that typical 30-day window is navigated through. But that's an important step of the process because you have to do your home inspection. You have to get your loan approved. And then the last piece that we were going to talk about is that appraisal, which you mentioned briefly, is where the lender's also going to initiate the appraisal on the property. It's about $500 in general. And we're going to send an independent person out there to make sure the house is worth the $250, like you had said in your example, instead of $200, because the bank's not going to lend you money on a house that isn't worth what you're paying. They will only lend based on what the value is. So that appraisal process, the approval process, and the home inspection process really all kind of happen simultaneously because you typically have about a 3-week window.
There's a lot that happens in that time frame.
That 3-week window is when you're in that investigation or inspection phase. And so you have to have all those things done by a certain date. And if for some reason we have an issue with the home inspection, an issue with the appraisal, or a concern about your approval, we want all those things done by your due diligence date so that if you need to back out, you don't lose additional monies.
Exactly.
So that phase is super important. We could probably talk all day on just those topics.
I think we probably could.
But we've got just a little over a minute here to wrap up our show. So the last step is really just, finding the house that you love can be stressful. It can be like a marriage, right? Not perfect, but worth it, right?
Absolutely.
So we think it's really important that you understand that working with the two of us for your loan needs and your real estate needs, communication is key, and making sure that you have a team that's helping you through the bumps along the road. However, usually there's a happy ending, right? Not always, but there's usually a happy ending, and it's definitely
if
worth
we've
the
done our
effort.
jobs right and everyone's done, then yes, there's a happy ending.
That's right. So we're going to wrap up the show. Laura has an incentive for any listener that mentions Reshair Radio to her, that gives her a call, and that she is willing to offer a home warranty to a buyer or even a seller that wants to list their home or buy a home with her. That's typically a $500 value.
It is, yes. So $500, just say you heard me on the radio, and there you go.
Take advantage of her services. If you need a real estate agent in the Rowan County market or even in other areas, she will connect you with someone in her network of realtors.
Absolutely.
To make sure that she will find someone to take care of you even in the local area. So with that being said, Laura, give your phone number real quick, a best way to reach you in case a buyer wants to give you a call. Let's hope they do.
I hope they do. I can be reached at 704-754-7997. And that's 704-754-7997.
Sweet. Well, thank you for coming on our show, Laura. We've got one more segment. We've got Cole Duran coming up with National Credit Care, our credit repair specialist here that supports and sponsors Reshair Radio. So stay tuned. We've got one more segment about credit repair. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending. As always, folks, if you're just tuning in, we've already done 3 great segments. We're going to wrap up our segment here today with some great credit tips. If you haven't listened to the show either before at all or you're just tuning in now, the show really is about educating and empowering Charlotteans to make sound financial decisions. And I do that by bringing in local experts and actually expert contributors that support Reshair Radio. And one of our expert contributors is National Credit Care, and we're going to talk some credit tips here today. Cole, officially welcome you to Reshair Radio for the first time. Cole Duran's here in the studio live.
Chris.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you again for having me.
You're welcome. It's always beautiful to be here on a Sunday morning overlooking the beautiful city of Charlotte. Cole, we've had Adam Kunda with National Credit Care on the show many, many times in the past. He's offered some great tips. You are an area manager with National Credit Care as well, working in tandem and teamed up with Adam. I happen to be in town, so we thought we'd have you as a guest today in the studio, but we've got a lot of great stuff to talk about. While I've got you here, why don't you take a minute or two and introduce National Credit Care, what you do there, and how you help clients.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you again for having me. Absolutely. National Credit Care, it's my program. I'm an area manager there based out of Colorado. We do some really cool stuff. Primarily what we're focusing on is getting clients into a house, into a mortgage. All right.
And I like that.
Yes. Most people do. I mean, that's that's your goal, is to get yourself and your family into a home. And we try to do that the quickest ways possible. We're going to map out, after reviewing your report, the quickest avenues you can explore to boost your scores. At the end of the day, there's a lot of moving pieces with credit. You know, every credit report's a little bit different. So we like to personalize your consultation and give you the correct instructions. So you're not having to do the homework. You're not having to go to Google. You're not having to try to do this research yourself and figure out, you know, what are the do's and don'ts with credit? How do I boost this score? How do I boost my score?
I think in some cases, a lot of people just, like, you get on the topic, it's kind of hot and exciting, and then you fizzle, right? And fixing your own credit is something that you've got to be diligent over many, many months. And a lot of times people go, I'm going to deal with this, whatever issue it is. And then, you know, the next day you've completely forgotten about it. In the meantime, you're not really making any real lasting changes.
Yes, it's an industry that is really, it's a question mark,
yeah.
Right? I mean, you're not taught a credit course in high school. You know, we're all forced into having this credit. You know, we have to work with this credit thing. And if you want a house, you want a vehicle, you want some personal loans, you have to have a good credit score. And, you know, we like to really make that light bulb turn on in as many clients as we possibly can, because this is a game. And if we can teach that game to our clients, they're going to be satisfied and they're going to be set up long term, which is the whole goal here. We want to make sure that clients are learning while they're in the program, as well as, you know, we're chipping away, improving credit scores, but we want them to learn something.
So how'd you get started in this business?
Yes, absolutely. So with credit, it's not, you know, I wasn't 5 years old, just motivated to be a credit guy.
That's right.
Just wasn't.
When I grow up, I want to be a credit expert, area manager for National Credit Care.
You just don't. You know, it's something that kind of falls into your plate. I was an athlete. I played ball in college, and I actually played baseball with a gentleman who worked for National Credit Care, and I was kind of sick and tired of doing what I was doing, and just spoke with him a little bit about the program. And he said, yeah, absolutely, come on board. I'd love to, you know, walk you through what we do here, how we're helping clients improve credit scores. Had no idea, you know, what credit was, what it, you know, how it was incorporated into, you know, into your life, and what it really is going to do for you over the next 30, 40, 50 years. It's incredible. So I got an interview, started at the bottom of the company, and I worked my way up from there.
Awesome. That's great. So we're going to really be talking all about auto loans today. We call that everything auto. So first of all, there's a lot of my listeners that really, as they know the goal of my show, while we do talk about mortgage and real estate now and again, it's not all about real estate and mortgage. It's also about helping them in their finances and credit in other aspects of their life. So, somebody's getting ready to buy a vehicle. Talk to us about what's one of the first things they should consider.
Well, the first thing that you should do is call a professional. Call my team, 866-595-6313, extension 2. Our consultations are free. Okay, the whole point of this is so you can map out and you're not wasting any finances. You're not having additional lenders pull your credit. A very common and frequently occurring thing in the auto industry is when you go apply for a new vehicle, these folks, without asking, all right, they shotgun your credit out to as many lenders as they possibly can, as quickly as they can, so they, hear back with a lender and they can get this, get you signed on this vehicle.
Yeah, and I've seen that before. I look at somebody's credit and it's like, wow, like 45 companies, I'm exaggerating, looked at your credit in the last weekend. What is going on? And I know they're shopping for a vehicle, right?
Right, and it might not be 45, but you frequently see, 10, 15,
12,
20.
yeah, exactly.
And those are, 4, 5, 8 points a pop?
They could be, right?
Exactly. I mean, depending on what is on your report already, these inquiries are damaging your score. Anytime someone pulls a hard credit report, and that's what these folks are pulling, there is an inquiry that's going to pop up. And when it does, it is going to drop your scores a hair. So you really want to pay attention to how many times your reports are being pulled and by whom.
So if they call you, that's going to at least give them an idea of what their credit score might be and what maybe suggestions you have when it comes to auto shopping. But it's inevitable unless you're paying cash. Somebody is going to inquire, which will lead to some additional inquiries on your credit report if you're getting an auto loan.
Exactly. So if you didn't call ahead and you have no idea about this shotgunning of the credit, you're not going to be able to then ask that auto dealership, hey, please just have my credit report pulled once. I do not want my credit being shotgunned out.
Okay,
so
perfect.
That's the hugest.
That's the counsel behind why they might want to call you guys.
Yes.
All right, cool. So my next question for you is, what's considered a good credit score for the auto industry?
Well, shoot, the average the average auto loan right now in the industry is $30,000.
Okay.
All right. So let's say for auto insurance, the difference between a 620 or below, all right, right now, that interest rate's going to be 15.24%. Now, if you're a 720 or above on the same vehicle, we have the same Ford Focus, you and I. All right, I have the 720, you have the 620. With your 620,
Wait, you have the I have the 720.
Okay, you have the 720. I have the 620.
I got to be the expert here,
All right.
man.
So with you having the 720, you have a 3.6 interest rate, and I have a 15.64 interest rate on the same vehicle.
Got it.
Over a 5
That's
year,
a huge difference,
it's
folks,
huge.
if you're listening, right?
If over 5 years, Chris, is going to save $10,800 additional dollars than I am on the same vehicle.
Just on interest paid on that auto loan.
Just in
That's
5
huge.
years, same vehicle, same color, same wheels, same radio.
That's right.
Everything's the same, but our credit scores are different. And he's going to be able to make almost $10,800 additional in that 5 year period. And then what are you going to be able to do with that? That $10,800 again, and shoot, you might have 2 vehicles in the next 5 years. So
who knows what that would cost even.
And this is again just in the auto industry. This is just for your auto loans and car insurance. Right. Credit's based into your credit cards, all your personal loans, student loans, mortgages, everything.
So you mentioned car insurance. Since we're talking everything auto here for the last few minutes of this segment, tell us about auto insurance and how that's impacted by your credit score.
Absolutely. So it's not just your auto loan that's basing off your credit score. It's your car insurance. So you're able to save money with the same vehicle over 2 separate accounts. I just ran the numbers down. So as far as the average,
somebody's credit score can affect their insurance premium on their car.
Absolutely. Now, not every single state. I do know that California has not converted to
risk-based. We call that risk-based pricing.
Exactly. So it's not every state, but most states it is.
Got it.
So yes.
Well, for our listening area, that would be the Carolinas. I think we're safe because I don't think my show's gone out to California yet. But we're working toward that goal, right?
Absolutely. Right.
Those are some really great tips. So I've got some thoughts though. So if somebody is thinking about buying a car, they could obviously reach out to your team, maybe help them identify if there are issues on the credit, maybe some things that you can do. But what kinds of things generally would you do as we wrap up the show here for the last 2 minutes?
Yeah. So contacting my team, you're going to get a free consultation. And what
Free we like.
free, exactly. I mean, we're not trying to hide. With this industry, again, it's behind the scenes. So we want to bring this game to surface and teach and coach our clients as much about this game as possible. With credit, in that consultation, you're going to receive the do's and don'ts. You're going to figure out, based on your positive trade lines and your negative trade lines, which accounts would be able to, which accounts we could resolve. We're in the business of locating a lot of mistakes and using the Fair Credit Reporting Act to get these accounts resolved from a credit report being taken off. How are we doing that? Legally, okay, by the books. We have to search the files for some form of mistake, lost paperwork, which this happens all the time. So during the consultation, you're going to figure out, well, what accounts on my report can be handled? Okay, what items do I not have to pay? Okay, and what items do I have to pay? If there are accounts that, available finances need to be directed to, we're going to point those accounts out. So we're going to pretty much answer all those questions that you do have in your head. What do I do? How do I boost my scores the quickest way? What accounts do I have to pay? What accounts do I not have to pay? What are the do's and don'ts? Do I need to open up additional credit cards?
They might, right?
A lot of clients have those questions,
right.
Or do I not?
Right.
So we're going to have
too many.
Exactly. There's a lot we're going to be able to cover in that consultation. All the questions that you want to go on Google and try to do the homework yourself. Save yourself the time. You got a team of credit specialists at National Credit Care. Again, 866-595-6313.
One more time.
Extension 2, 866-595-6313. Extension 2. Just give them your name and say, hey, we heard you on Chris Reshatar station.
There you go, Reshair Radio. That's how we roll. So, Cole, you have brought awesome material here today to our show, and I appreciate your expertise and how you've supported my team and my clients in the past. So, so folks, if you are in need of any sort of questions or answered around your credit, give National Credit Care a call, Cole Duran. He and his team will definitely try to do what they can to help you. They don't guarantee results, but they make every effort to try to work within the confines of your credit report and the rules and regulations they got to follow to help you boost your score. And I've seen it in action with some of my clients. So as always, we appreciate you listening to Reshair Radio. We'll be back every Sunday, 10 o'clock on ESPN 730 The Game. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Cole, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Did you know it has been reported that an estimated 80% of Americans have credit inaccuracies on their credit reports? Most people that have either inaccuracies or existing items that can be negotiated or adjusted do not know what their best score could be until they have found a new home, or buying a new car, or applying for a credit card. Then it's too late, and they have to accept a higher interest rate or lose the opportunity altogether. The time to work on improving your credit score is before you need it. Whether you have a 440, 640, or even a 740 FICO score, there is always room for improvement. The National Credit Care Team is comprised of individuals dedicated to helping the millions of consumers plagued by credit inaccuracies, errors, and fraud. It is our mission to help inform consumers and alleviate the stress of working with creditors and credit bureaus. Together, we can maximize your scores to get the best interest rates possible and save you money. Call now, 303-747-6390. That's 303-747-6390. Or visit us at www.nationalcreditcare.com.
Hi, Chris Reshatar here with NFM Lending and host of Reshair Radio. If you are considering purchasing a home, you may wonder what your financing options are. We offer a variety of loan products to fit your situation, including conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, and jumbo loans. Here in the Carolinas, some of the most common loans are FHA and USDA. FHA loans are popular in low-income and first-time buyers due to their less stringent requirements. They also have low down payment requirements and tend to have a lower credit score requirement as well. USDA loans also allow low and moderate income households to purchase homes in an eligible rural area. Home buyers who do not qualify for a conventional loan may be able to purchase a home with USDA. If you're looking for platinum level service and open communication throughout the process, call me, Chris Reshatar, at 704-277-4463. That is 704-277-4463. LO NMLS license number 117266, corporate NMLS license number 2893. Go to nfmlending.com for licensing information, and you can apply online at themortgagegenius.com.
Hi, this is Preston Salen with Home Inspection Carolina. We do home inspections, termite inspections, radon testing, any of your inspection needs. One thing that we do a little different, we fix the small stuff instead of putting it on the report. So if you need a home inspection, termite inspection, radon testing, please give us a call. If it's a home inspection or a pre-inspection, 704-542-6575, or check out our website at homeinspectioncarolina.com.
You've been listening to Reshair with Chris Reshatar, a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant, originator license number 117266. Learn more online at themortgagegenius.com.